buy that. They're from Elgin.
Years ago, or maybe 2 or so years ago, somebody told me we have kind of a
Isolation.
pick everything, no matter what color it is, because you gotta get it off now because these products come out. Put it in the sunniest window and oh my God, they just turned red, you know? Yeah.
I do
They
great.
have more tomatoes than Heinz here.
Oh, because there's a lot of.
Spring.
Now this minor, like ours are.
You're way ahead of me.
I love my neighbors, but I think, yeah,
Lots of them.
and that makes it.
Presentations on YouTube.
A little pokey.
But I got a lot of green with. But, mail in.
Yeah.
Some of those things look like they're great.
Kale. Oh my God, I've never seen anything like it. And then my arugula did. And I have 2 kinds of green and then I have red leaf lettuce. We're all doing
Like for a 45-minute session.
Anytime it is.
Good thing I got you that gavel.
It works,
Making
doesn't it?
use of it.
Most of it. Welcome, everybody.
Hey,
Peter.
good to see you.
Got a phone call yesterday from Jessica and she's got a little health issue. She had to go see a doctor right at this time. There
She's in trouble. See a doctor.
And Captain Schultz also is in Salem, I guess, for the graduation of some deputies, so those 2 are excused. So everybody else knows everybody. Don't think we have any new visitors. Barely see up there, but it doesn't look like it. I don't think we need to do introductions, but if anybody has something they want to bring up, and Julie had something here. So
So just an FYI for everyone, I know I only have one because it was sucking my ink. My little home printer. NAMI has a little fundraiser on Monday at Mountain Burger, which is over in Northwest Crossing. And they have agreed that everything they sell, food and beverage, including takeout on Monday, we get 10% back of all proceeds. So please go if you want, if you're looking for a place for lunch or dinner or drinks or whatever. It's an all day Monday and I don't know, it'd be really fun if we made some good money on it. So that's Monday. It's called Mountain Burger. It's in Northwest Crossing. And yeah, their burgers are really good. Yeah.
So are the French fries.
Yes, they are.
The French fries were good.
Do we have that flyer electronically somewhere?
I can send it out. Yeah, I'll do that as soon as I get back to the office. So, yeah.
they use local beef in the burgers.
Do they? Or
Yeah.
they do?
Oh, you're asking.
Yeah, mask.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know. They've got really good salads too and stuff. So, yeah.
We're up there once. It's like going out of town.
Yeah.
Like the way I feel when I go to the old mill, it's just, I remember when there were logs there. You had to drive through the mill to get to the other side of town. Anybody else? Anything for the good of the order for now or maybe later?
So I went to City Club yesterday and they had a terrific presentation on social isolation, depression, suicide in mountain communities. And that's the place I would have thought you'd be least likely to find that sort of thing. and it was called Shiny Happy People in Central Oregon. And it's on YouTube and you can see it.
Somewhere,
YouTube
okay. Shiny, happy people.
in Central Oregon.
Do they talk about the weather, the winter being a big part of that?
No, you'd think there wouldn't be a person alive in Portland. So no, people, as you know, move here partly because of the weather, they want to be here. And the problems seem to center on social isolation, younger people who have more social engagement issues and the lack of, you know, we grew up here, our family's here, everybody I know is here, and when you move here, that's just not true. When I first moved here 42 or 3 or 4 years ago, the complaint was in young families that I would see in the office is that we've lived here for 6 months and we don't know anybody. It's just so hard to get, they complained, to get into contact with people because they're all doing stuff.
Oh, interesting.
Well, I noticed when I moved here, about the same time, maybe a little sooner, that the only people I met were people who just moved here.
Yeah.
It was kind of a hard community to break into.
I still hear that. Yeah, we hear that from people. They just can't find a group, a friend group or a connection. Like they just can't seem to infiltrate the already existing groups that are in town. Yeah. And a lot of people don't know their neighbors still in the community. We fortunate that we do in our neighborhood, but there's my sister lives in a neighborhood where she lived there for a while, didn't know any of her neighbors. So I think some of that plays into it.
Fortunately, I know all my neighbors pretty well.
Yeah.
Because they've been your neighbors for how many decades?
30.
Yeah. Love it.
Some of them, yeah. Okay, one thing I didn't do is print the agenda, so I gotta turn my phone on every once in a while.
There you can look at it if you want.
Oh, approve the minutes from last month. Read the minutes from last month. Is that a motion? That's a motion to approve.
Second.
Second, I have a second. All those in favor?
I.
Pass. Okay, Holly has a director's report. Got a busy month.
I mean, it's always a busy month. There's never a not busy month. But we had, we update on the secure residential treatment facility. We did just, initiate our notice of award to an entity called Jackson House. So that, was issued just the other day. And there's a protest period, so it's not totally official yet, but, I suspect that will all play out. And so that kind of starts our timeline of, you know, they already have land, the land that they have earnest money down on in Redmond. It is next to the hospital. It's right across from like the pump track there on Canal, I think. So great location, walking distance to our clinic there and the hospital. So it's really prime. So it'll be a 16-bed secure residential treatment facility, which will make it the second in our county, which we've had one for as long as I know. I don't think we've ever had another one, and we desperately needed another one. So this will add double our capacity, and we're very excited about it. So they're saying around an 18-month timeline from starting construction and planning and all that good stuff. They're pretty well-oiled machines, so they should be able to.
That's a lot quicker than it took to build Sageview.
Oh, I'm sure.
Is that kids or?
Adults. That one is adult. We are still working on the child psych facility for children. That's really got some momentum. That kind of leads into my second update, which is we had a group of legislators come. I told you all about the one that came prior to that, but then another group came, was it 2 weeks ago, Roger, maybe?
About 2 weeks.
Okay, August 1st, okay. And they had Representative Sanchez, Representative Levy, Crop. I don't think who else was there.
Representatives from.
Melanie Keebler, City Council, Broadman, and then a group of community partners were there. So yeah, we had a really robust group. It was a great discussion. We had presentations, you know, given and talking about basically the state of our kids services.
Also representatives from Biden's office and
Right.
Berkeley's office.
Yep.
Were the school districts represented there?
They were there, yeah. We had a robust group of community partners that were there to really talk about the challenges that we're facing here in Deschutes County, but our phenomenon is not that unique. It's a statewide issue. But I think we have some unique challenges in Deschutes. We've really have an underinvestment in the resources here in Central Oregon. And so we were able to really clearly outline the problem. They were really engaged. It was a great conversation. You know, we're already making momentum on our project. This organization, Jackson House, is actually at the table to talk about building a child psych facility. They actually just opened one in Idaho Falls. And this land that they purchased is too big for the SRTF so they're talking about potentially splitting it and having the child psych facility on the other part of the property, separated obviously by fence and all that good stuff. But so we are making momentum. I mean, it's not done until it's done. We definitely had momentum in the past and it's fallen apart. So I'm cautiously optimistic still at this point.
We're much farther along this time than
We
we
are.
had before.
We have a real viable option at this point. So yeah.
That's so needed.
It is so needed, and it would be, we're still working on the model, but we definitely have a variety of, so hopefully some crisis respite bed that would be for, up to like 2 weeks. We would also subacute and acute.
Subacute or residential, we're trying to decide because the main difference is the level of medical support you have, and then respite. And then there is an opportunity, given the size of the land, if Jackson House is the vendor, to explore day treatment. And that wouldn't take away from the current day treatment we have. It would be in addition to. So nothing is set in stone, but those are the things we've thrown out there as a need. So yeah.
Yeah.
Would those beds be limited to residents of Deschutes County, or is it opened up to the city?
Unfortunately, nothing is allowed to be completely reserved for the residents of Deschutes County. However, both with the SRTF and the child facility, I think there are ways in which you can work around it to some level, like you can purchase, like we're in talks about purchasing beds, particularly in the child.
Respite would be.
Respite could be reserved for Deschutes County kids, but it's the residential that really gets opened up statewide. And that's just the way the rules are, the statutes that require that. The SRTF, we've been able to find some more control. We get kind of first right of refusal. These facilities have to stay full in order to be sustainable. So if you just limit it to one county, that they may run into the problem of not being able to fill all the beds.
The difference is though too, like if we open up a residential for kids here, and let's say we have 16 beds for kids, right? That's 16 kids that aren't going over to, we're so limited, right? So not going over to Children Farm Home, not going over to Perry Center. And so that will open it up for those. So we did try to highlight that in our presentation of how this benefits the rest of the state. But could someone from Multnomah County drive their kiddo over the pass the other way? We've been doing it for years and come to us, absolutely. I think what it would open it up more for is our rural frontier Eastern Oregon, and that would be a tremendous help to those counties as well, so.
Yeah.
Because they have,
So
we talk about the challenges we have in supporting our kids and families. They have tremendous gaps in their services, so.
more to come on that. Definitely good momentum. If some legislation passes or funding comes our way as a result of that meeting, that's all, all the better. But we're going to continue to plow ahead just on our own as we do here in Central Oregon. Any questions on any of that?
Just a quick question on the secure residential treatment facility for adults. Are you gonna do like a mixed population, like
It is.
civil and?
Well, because of the funding, it's gonna be primarily civil, at least initially I'm still trying to figure out from OHA how long we have to keep it that way. It's not like a huge hindrance. It just means DRC will then be the Deschutes Recovery Center, which is our other SRTF. It will primarily be PSRB, aid and assist, forensically involved clients. So it'll have to separate, which in some ways is really great to be able to separate the populations out. And be a little bit more strategic in our interventions with the different populations. So yeah, I think it'll be fine. But I always prefer flexibility with how because you need the beds for what you need the beds for. So I'm hoping that won't be that way forever. But we did get the $2 million from the state to go towards this project, and that funding was tied specifically for civil commitment.
Yeah, that's cool, thanks.
Lastly, I wanted to talk about the application process that was brought up last board meeting. I have some good news. We got HR approval to not have to go through NeoGov. I know.
Is that the one that I sent you yesterday?
So this is a thing,
They don't probably know.
they actually had a chance, so this is an application that Melinda developed for the youth, but for the youth person. And it's a great application. I asked HR to take a quick look at it. They got back to me like that, and the only thing they added was the required legal language at the very bottom. That it's kind of the Deschutes County standard, you know, we gotta have our legal.
Yeah.
We can't have a document without that.
I'm friendly with that.
Yeah, totally. So it's on there. I'll forward you the electronic version after this, but really, they said this application would work. So I think the next steps really would be for all we need to create an application for the adult one as well. I think you can,
We have that.
we already have, it's separate than out of NeoGov. We have a
I don't know what that is.
NeoGov.
I don't know that.
Oh, that's the platform people had to go in to become a board member, and that's the thing everybody was complaining about. 'Cause
That's
it's
the one
super
you-
cumbersome and.
I've been looking at the last couple of days.
Okay, so there, yeah, those applications, we've already got 3 or 4. I can't quite tell for,
Yeah, some of them come with different names and the same thing.
yeah, it's yeah, so I'm trying to clarify that, but that's a different application. That's the one it still looks
Yeah.
pretty burdensome.
Yeah, so I think if we want to
This will
clean,
work for that. I mean, that's what we wanted to get away from, so.
Yeah,
I think if you guys want to create a simple application like this for the adult one, and then we can have a process where all applications are submitted to the BHAB email. Rather than going through NeoGov, and then they can go through your normal process through your committee.
that'd be great. I don't know that we need it this right now because we've already got
Right.
applications in and we're
Yeah.
talking about scheduling interviews probably in the next 2 weeks. But next time we have an opening, because as I understand, we have 1 opening on the board. Is that right?
Right.
Yeah.
They have more by the end of the year, so.
Can I jump in here back to the youth? I don't know that person's
TAR, let's say.
It's- yeah, it's-
Transitional age representative is what we
Yeah.
agreed to.
Whatever, the intern. The youth intern. So I'm supposed to take the application and go to OSU. I've got a contact there and go to someone at COCC, if anybody knows who that would be, and tell them what we're doing and give them all these applications. And we're gonna get hopefully more candidates. So we have these 2 or 3 candidates who have surfaced early. And is the idea that you're going to
Those would be
interview
for
every
the-
single
No,
person?
the ones that we have are for the adult.
Oh,
Yeah, so
okay,
they're 2
okay.
separate things.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, good, because I was like, if, it's maybe premature to be doing it for the tar. Okay.
No, we're not doing TAR yet. I think
Okay.
we gotta get that finalized,
Right.
sent out, and then we'll.
Distribute it, then they'll start to come in and then I don't think you have to interview everybody. But that's what you guys can decide, but
Yeah, we'll have to
It
see
depends
how,
how many.
how many we get and whether we need to create some screening rubrics. But I do think that we need, did you guys use previously a scoring rubric when you were interviewing me or?
We never really had numbers, did we?
no.
From a government standpoint, because I work for school districts and a government entity,
Right.
I don't know that it's important when it's a volunteer type position, but typically we'll have a scoring rubric made up in advance so that it's all kind of standardized. And so I can do that. It's not a problem. I can use one that we've used in our department or my organization. But we might want to do that so that everybody's kind of understands, like, here's a scoring rubric 1 through 5, here's what 1 means, here's what 5 means. So everybody has their own subjective way of looking at the rubric, but at least there's some standardization. So Peter, you and me and Cameron, we'll just have to figure out some time to be on the interview committee for the adult board member. And then Lee, did you volunteer to be on the interview committee for the youth person?
I was open to whichever one I can fall into you.
I had you and Cameron down for that as well, so Cameron would be on both.
Sure.
But I think the conversation was that for the youth person, we don't want 3, we want maybe 2.
Sure.
Just to not overwhelm somebody that's not used to
Yeah, thanks.
being out, so, okay. Well, that's good. That's great news because that means we can speed this up.
Guys, I've asked about this over the years, so it's just, you keep asking, eventually we'll get to yes. So it was great, HR was super helpful on this one, and yeah, I'm just really thrilled we don't have to go through NeoGov either. But
Yeah, that's so helpful. And then I mean, school, OSU Cascades and COCC, they don't start till later in September. And so I'm not anticipating getting a whole bunch of applications or interests until school gets started. So realistically, we might be looking in October, but hopefully that person will be able to serve through the next summer so that there's a little bit of a longer period of time. And then for the second year, maybe we can shoot for getting it out in the spring before the spring semester ends so that we can get them in place a little earlier in the year.
That sounds great.
I think it's gonna be a great thing. The more I think about it, it's just teaching people how to get involved.
And one concern I have, and it's not even a concern, but it's just, we have priorities of youth members that are youth candidates that either have lived experience with behavioral mental health issues or who have an interest career or educationally in it. And I'm trying to figure out, like in the interview and in the application form, how do we navigate that lived experience piece while respecting confidentiality? That's a little bit dicey. Now it's a volunteer, they voluntarily can add whatever information they want, but on that application, there is a place for describing their lived experience. And I think I'll probably put in something saying, just brief is fine. We don't need to go into details and diagnoses and names and all of that, but that does make me slightly uncomfortable.
We navigate that somewhat with our peer support specialist interviews here, and it's even trickier when you're talking about a paid county government position where you are not to be excluding people based on a protected class. So it does get sticky, and we have to be careful. We sort of just, often are just kind of leave it open of like, tell us why you're passionate about this work, and it just sort of lends itself. And peer support specialist postings really describe it to be eligible. You really need to have, this is sort of the criteria for this position. So it hasn't, I don't know, do you guys have anything that, has it ever?
Say, how does your lived experience relate to the job, the roles and responsibilities as outlined in the internship, right? So you take it and you ask them to share how their experience links to what you're asking them to do. We don't ask about diagnoses or any HIPAA information. Now, some people.
Now they just, sometimes they'll just
they
share.
do, right, but that is by their choice. The intent of the question really isn't to know about what specifically they had, but how they will use that experience to better this group here and to contribute to this group.
So I don't know if you want to look at that part of the application form or whether we should maybe rephrase it slightly. I can wordsmith that a bit. I had it in front of me.
If we have is particularly interested in hearing from young adults with lived experience related to behavioral health, whether that's directly experiencing behavioral health challenges or living with or caring for another person with behavioral health concerns. If this applies to you, please briefly describe your lived experience. Maybe you could reword it to like what Shannon said. Tell us how your lived experience could contribute to the work of the Behavioral Health Advisory Board or something.
Okay, or triggers or support your interest in this. Yeah. Okay, so and do you think that any revisions will need to go back to HR for approval?
No.
Or I'm okay. Okay.
It was really, I think the things they were looking for is like the minimums of like name and, and like just the need, they thought this looked fine. I don't think if we wordsmith it, it's gonna be an issue.
And then will this get posted online? I mean,
So that's for you kind of decide. I don't know what mechanism, since it's not, the thing about NeoGov that's nice is that it triggers the county postings. And so if we're not gonna do that, do we just want to post it on the BHAB page of the internet? Like we have that page, it has the email address. We could just have open positions that could be kept up to date.
That would be my vote. I would like to keep this as simple and direct as possible. The minute you get into the bigger Deschutes County thing, that's where things get.
It's complicated. Yep.
And so if we could do that, and so I'll just work with Dana to get that posted.
Yeah. I think
All right, perfect. I'll make the revisions, get it posted, and then we'll get it sent out. Is there any other, and send it to you so that you can distribute it at St. Charles. Is there any other resource besides the two colleges and St. Charles that you guys think we should send this out to? And do you have any contacts? Like Julie's got her contact at OSU Cascades, but do any of you know anybody at COCC, for example, that would any of the departments that might have some kind of.
Monica Vines has been a long time professor and oversees the addictions program at COCC. I mean, that's
Monica
just
Vines?
Monica Vines.
I can reach out to her. Okay.
And Sarah Barron oversees the, yeah, peer, but also the human development.
What's her last name?
Barron, Baron.
Oh, I've spoken with her before. She's at COCC too. She has something to do with the foundation as well, I think.
Yeah.
Okay.
I wonder about Central Oregon Health Council. Would this be something that I mean, I get some things from them sometimes of like, here's an opportunity or.
But they have a pretty wide distribution list. It might be open to just sharing it broadly. And then I think of like SOC.
Yeah, I'll send it out to our distribution list, and then I was thinking, you're not there anymore. I was looking at it. But the community huddle, Greece,
Civic Source.
yeah, Pacific Source, that is a large distribution list, so I think we have some distro lists that can go out to.
So maybe what I'll do is once we get this finalized and posted onto the webpage, I'll send an email out to board wide, so you guys at least have it and you can forward it on as you think appropriate. That, there's, if you know anybody.
Yeah, so I just want to call it Cameron as their head up, so thank you.
Cameron.
Hi, thank you. Hey, I'm trying to remember the age minimum we were talking about. Were we all in agreement over age 18 and over? Or
We said 18 to 24, or I think.
okay. I mean, I do think a little bit about, and we're looking for like a 2-year commitment. Is that what the?
No,
No.
1 year. The way the application or the information page that I put together reads is that it's for the academic year, for the 2024-25 academic year, with a preference that they could follow into the summer. But yeah, we're looking at a year.
I mean, I am curious about, and this gets a little complicated, but of potentially seniors in high school, and maybe that's something we think about long down the road.
We talked a lot, I think, at one of the meetings about whether we open this up to like a high school student. There's just some barriers to their potential barriers to their participation. And so the last youth member that we had attended RPA, which is a charter school in Redmond, and it's a very kind of open campus. They set their own schedule. So she had some unique flexibility in her schedule where high school students at a more traditional high school may not be able, they may not be able to have flexibility in their schedule to attend when we are meeting. And so that was kind of a thoughtful decision. So I think what we could do is, let's see how this goes with the age range that we're shooting for, 18 to 24. And we can tweak this the next time around. I think we're gonna learn a lot this second year, but the first year having this more formalized program. And then at some point we might even invite more than one. You know, we could have somebody 18 to 24, and then maybe we can invite some special student that is able to have some flexibility, or the school wants to promote it with a high school student to get a little bit different perspective from a younger age range.
Okay, that's worth tucking away. I am seeing it being done at other places where they are getting flexible with like a student who has been really, and I'm thinking one example, which was fantastic at Bend High. They have senior projects for the International Baccalaureate program. And there are these 2 students, this was a couple of years ago. They did this amazing social media campaign on the fentanyl crisis, on educating, and that their Instagram and TikTok and everything floated throughout the entire like school district to teenagers. And when I think about, you know, certain particular folks who might be interested in something like this, I think about those 2 guys who did that kind of campaign. So this is just something to tuck away, and I think future somebody who's like really invested. And then that makes me think a little bit about NAMI, if it's worth, you know, floating that around, because there are a lot of folks, you know, emergent adults who kind of dabble in NAMI, maybe sending them some info, if that would be helpful.
Good news is that the person sitting right next to me, Julie McFarlane, is on the NAMI board, and we had a lot of conversation about maybe doing some kind of a joint venture with NAMI. And I think for this first time around, we're gonna just baby step this in a way that's simple.
Just sending the announcement that they
Yeah,
can
and
put
Julie right here is on the board, so.
Yeah, NAMI actually agreed to be the sponsor for the internship, and they got money approved from their board to make it a paid internship. And it was decided that not to have that relationship because, you know, is there a conflict between am I a NAMI intern or am I a BHAB intern? So there were some real benefits to the idea, but we're gonna, again, like Melinda says, we're gonna start out simple and see how this first year goes. And then we can do any tweaking we want to do for next year. But NAMI is very supportive and excited, and they've had good results with internships before. And so they decided to redirect the money that they had approved, and they're gonna have their own intern doing their own thing, and that person will be focused on marketing and social media. So
Yeah, I remember
it's
all
a
that.
great idea. The internship thing is gonna just be great. The one thing I want to throw out about this is I think we need to put a deadline on the application for the PAR, the young person, because we want people to know in the first week of school as they're learning about it. And I'll make sure that the professors know that, you know, these applications have to come in by October 1st. And then there would be, you know, a lot of interviewing initially. We need to put a timeline together. Maybe I'll put that together.
Well, we should put it, I thought about putting that on the application, like the deadline for it, but then I was thinking, if we have trouble recruiting people, if we don't get enough applicants, then we're gonna have to be a little more flexible. So it'd be easy to put an October 1st deadline on there.
Sorry, two things. I think I was misunderstood there. I wasn't talking about the partnership. I was talking about just including this announcement in the NAMI newsletter. So
I got you, Cameron. I understood that, and I think that's a great
we're talking about
suggestion.
just how to recruit folks. You know, you mentioned St. Charles, OSU, CSCC, other, you know, Central Oregon Health Council, other agencies where there's these like blasts of, you know, information. That would be a great one, I
Yeah,
thought.
if you guys have any other suggestions, so Julie's on that board, so that's a built-in contact there. But if you guys have any other organizations that you think would be worthwhile sending this to, maybe shoot me and Julie an email so that we are aware of it, because I don't know that we're aware of everything that's out there that you guys have the knowledge of being in the industry. You know, so yeah, we'll look this out.
Heads up, OSU doesn't start till the last week of the month of September.
Yeah,
So-
we just talked about that. COCC is the same thing, I believe. So that's
Maybe-
why we're gonna probably have to.
November 1 for a deadline.
Okay. Right along.
One last item, Roger, if it's okay, just wanted to let you all know, we are gonna be going to the board Monday, actually, to get approval to apply, but the Measure 110 funding, our burn funding that we received back in 2022 that created our burn program that was presented here, they are making us reapply for our same funding, but we're gonna be asking for potentially some additional funding. We'll see whether we get it or not. There's only a set amount per county. And so they're asking everybody to apply individually this year. So it's a robust application. We're right in the middle of it. And I just wanted you all to be aware of that kind of shift in how the behavioral health resource network stuff is working. And they've opened it up for new providers to be able to apply as well.
Do you need any help from
Okay.
us? I mean, can we do a letter of advocacy or anything like that?
No, they're not even asking for letters of support. I don't think it certainly wouldn't hurt. I will be talking about the Behavioral Health Advisory Board, I'm sure, in part of our application. There's 11 questions. They're all, you know, pretty robust. So we're in the midst of it. I'm still getting my head around it. Monday's my day to like immerse myself in it. So if there's anything from the board that I think would be helpful, I'll absolutely reach out to you all. And I appreciate the offer of support.
That's on our list. That's, you know, a few things at the bottom of this agenda that we wanted to talk about, and we did the youth, and then now we talked about the chance on the advocacy. Is that fair that we have to reapply every year?
Well, we don't have to, it's gonna be a 4-year time frame. It's frustrating because we didn't know that it was not gonna be, you know.
Isn't it like 11.5 million or something?
That's what we're gonna be requesting. Yeah, and so it's for the 4 years.
4 years.
Yeah, and I mean, it would be pretty devastating if we weren't refunded. I mean, we have, you know, 13 positions tied to this. We've invested a lot of time and energy on this work in collaboration with Best Care and Rimrock and Ideal Options and Boulder Care and Healing Reigns. So it would, I'm gonna remain positive and assume that likely existing entities will be funded again. Whether we get the additional dollars we're asking for, I don't know, because there's only a limited amount of money. And if they open it up to other new applicants to apply, I don't know where the money's coming from. So if they're serious about adding more people to this work, which is great, I'm supportive of that, it is gonna pull from somewhere. So I'm, just gonna be watching that very closely and we'll keep you all in the loop, but they didn't tell us how much we could apply for. They didn't even initially tell us how long the grant was for. Like, it has been a challenge, but we are getting some answers.
I'm sure that is an understatement.
That's the nicest way.
Okay, right?
Yes, OHA, they are.
More.
Yes.
Someone that goes to Salem every month, they have a building that would hold 1,600 people, and guess how many people are working?
Zero. Vacant.
I think it's like 80. But it's they could put all the homeless in Marion County in that building.
100%. Like, I can't tell you how many OHA buildings I've gone to meetings where they don't even know how to get into the building anymore because nobody home and they don't even know how to use the building anymore.
Well, we just have to go downstairs for this meeting, but Healing Rains actually is part of that group, and that's such a phenomenal program, and I would really love to see it doubled. I hear from people all the time who access it. Their fundraiser, if you're interested, I think it's called Dust and Diamonds, and there was a lot of dust last year. It's on the 28th of September. But it's out at their new facility on Klein Falls, wonderful location. And Phil Knight was a major underwriter, and he was the first man last year that raised his paddle to donate more funding for it. So I can't say enough really nice things about going there. Because I can't be there that night, but I am going to donate something for it. So yeah, Healing Rain, September 28th. Yeah, they are, aren't they?
Okay, I'm gonna move along here. Jessica did ask me to bring up for some check on the rack card.
Can I ask Holly a question? Holly, so I haven't talked to Rick. I didn't ask him at the last meeting, but how many people that Best Care has been taking care of have overdosed and died this year?
Oh, I don't have that number off the top of my head, but it's more than he's seen in his whole career, I think.
This year?
This last 2 years.
Well, last year was 26, but this year, when I talked to him in June, it was one person. And I'm thinking like, okay, I think we're getting the message out how dangerous it is.
Yeah.
But I didn't ask him when I saw him like a week ago for Central Oregon, the Health Council.
Well, I can ask him. I can.
Yeah, if you'll check with him and see, and then there's some programs that really do a lot of amazing things, and they don't seem to get funded. It's incredibly frustrating if you're trying to help people that are working with people that just need extra help.
Well, I did see recently the press release that came out that I was the first I heard of it too, that the opioid settlement dollars that just got allocated to Redmond, the $1.5 million, I think it was, wasn't it? The press release that came out yesterday, and I was trying to figure out who that's going to, but it's great that it's coming to our region.
Yeah.
It's not coming to us. But it's- yeah.
I think I remember him saying at that meeting that how effective the programs were. I don't remember saying just one, but
I'll ask him. I don't have that number off the top of my
Well, I
head.
just thought it was remarkable because they lost 3 in 1 week last year. I mean, it was just, oh my gosh. How many times did I testify against Measure 110 and how we had to redo? So anyway.
anyway, our rack card has a number of functions on it. And as Jessica says, these are our deliverables, things that probably we should be doing since put them out here for everybody to look at. For everybody to see in the public. So we just wanted to talk about how we're going to accomplish some of those things, how we're going to meet some goals by the end of the year. And I just want to start a little discussion about some of these things, and I've got some ideas that I've written down. So first one that says we listen to and learn from people with lived experience. So who, what, when, where, and how, those kind of questions that we need to ask, as pointed out at our last meeting, not really shared much of our own experiences and really why we chose this place to be on this board. So that's something that we should be doing regular. How often? And who wants to do it? I mean, that's the kind of the who, what, where, and how do we do that?
I can add something there. So NAMI has, as Roger knows, folks who are going out into the community and sharing their story. And it's what they want to do. That's the issue, is there are people who have stories to tell that aren't, you know, at the point where they want to share the information. But there are people who are trained in our own voice kind of thing with NAMI, who can go out into the community and share their experience. And maybe getting someone from that to come in and talk about, you know, we've had so many great guest speakers, but we've talked about trying to get away from only having guest speakers. But since this is one of our big functions, maybe having somebody come in who has a recent story to tell about their experience in Deschutes County, you know, whether it's with St. Charles or the Stabilization Center or the police, or whomever it may be, you know, hopefully a positive experience, but maybe it will be laced with some barriers as well. Those might be helpful to all of us. And I can ask if there's somebody in NAMI who would be willing to come and talk. Although I'm guessing there are some other groups here that have people who could do that as well. So I'm happy to see if I can find somebody to come talk, or if somebody else has someone they want to approach.
We can certainly talk about it within the manager. I mean, we have many folks that, you know, could share their story. It's just kind of always finding who's comfortable doing it. And you know, who would make the most sense to do it. But we have to be careful too, because these folks often get tapped for a lot of different, things to come share their story. CIT training they get for the regional health improvement plan for just a number of groups. And so,
State representatives.
state representatives, different things. So, but I think I can think of a couple just off the top of my head, particularly in the crisis lane, of folks that have come through that system and could really probably enlighten everyone. I'm looking at Nicole.
Yeah, I have a list.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Why don't we let's do some digging and then we can report back. Do you want us to report back at the next meeting or sooner than that?
Let's report back at the next meeting.
Okay.
And if somebody has somebody they'd like to recommend, and that person, maybe find out if that person's willing to come do a short 20 to 30-minute presentation at the most.
Yeah.
And then if we have somebody who's excited about doing it and wants to do it, then we'll do it that way.
And we also have, you know, staff. We have peer support specialists that some of them have some of the most incredible lived experience stories that they share as part of their work, and are very comfortable in that space to share. And so they tend to be a little bit more comfortable in settings like this, which can be very intimidating for a client of ours potentially.
Right.
But I'm thinking of like Erica and several others of ours that often would like to share their story.
That's exactly who we're looking for.
Yeah.
I think so. Okay.
So if that works for you too, we could definitely accomplish that. The client one may take a little bit more work.
Why don't we start with that and get that person in, or whoever you have?
We might even have a couple.
Ongoing kind of like a
Well,
periodic.
there's so many out there. I mean, that's the thing. It's huge. I mean, I wrote down, we have the Cascade Peer Self-Help Center. Used to be Clubhouse. I don't know.
Oh, there's plenty. I mean, there's plenty of organizations out there.
NAMI support group.
Yeah.
Both family group and connections group. I think Kara's has a family group that meets, don't they?
Who,
Some of us, Kara was here. Some days.
Family support.
Oh.
They're like ongoing.
oh, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that won't be a problem, but we could easily start with a staff person first, if that would be easy to kind of kick things off.
Yeah, maybe you find out if you've got somebody who's looking forward to it, and then bring them their information to the next meeting. And if they're gung ho, somebody from the board here can reach out to them and maybe get them scheduled. That would be great, because it'd be nice to have somebody who.
Ask clients, what would you all want to hear? So they're gonna wanna know the why, like if they tell their story, what will you do with that information? And so that's really important, because every young person I ask, that's what they wanna know. They're
Why,
gonna,
yeah.
yeah, what are you gonna do with it? So I think that is a question to everyone here. It's
Well,
not,
for me, I think we need to know where the barriers are, problems are, things that we can solve. I mean, that can help solve.
Yeah, I mean, I'm super thrilled to see that being the first bullet point on the RAC card, the listening to people with lived experience. I just was visiting with my counterpart from Jefferson earlier today, and she's struggling with, we have to have advisory committees and IDD as well. And we struggle to get the individual, the self-advocate's voice at the meeting. And what she's proposing to do, which I think is brilliant, she already has activities happening in the community. They do things like painting rocks and I don't know, all kinds of different movie in the park kind of activities with individuals. And she said, what if we just made those our advisory committee? Because we can't get them to come to the room with people sitting around the table. And so what I wanted to say is maybe we need to think about how can we listen better or provide a environment that's more conducive to people that do have a lived experience rather than a kind of an imposing room.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that I was gonna suggest too, is maybe we go meet some of these people where they're at. And
Listen to their story and come back
And
and
report kind of, so that it's our job to relay that.
yeah, maybe not the whole group.
yeah,
but-
that would probably be more comfortable.
I think though, Holly said something that I've noticed that people who, if somebody volunteers and they probably have spoken several times before, and they really do want to share their story, and they've usually fine-tuned it, because I've been to a couple of them where somebody was doing it for the first time and they were just going on and on and on, and we're like, when, not that it wasn't interesting information, but where is this going and what have we learned from it? Some of these people who speak are really just drill down to it and know exactly, these are the barriers, these are the things that saved me, these are the things that I wish could been done differently, or these are the things that I wish that I knew back then. And we get somebody, I think some of those people wouldn't be intimidated by this group at all.
I can think of 2 staff, peer support specialist staff right now, on top of my head, that would not have an issue coming before this group and talking. So that would be, but I think the client perspective, I can't think of any client that would really necessarily be comfortable in this setting, in the structure, the way we have it even set up and all of that. It's just really formal. And so maybe the idea of like for a client, if they're willing to sit down with a couple of you, that could be a better approach for that. Maybe a mix of it.
The other part, I guess, from that, and that gives us lots of opportunities, because there's lots of people out there.
Oh, yeah.
That want to talk if they,
Want to be heard.
if they get in the right situation. But also the review of client satisfaction surveys and things that we talked briefly about last time. And I've kind of reached out to me, we can get some of that in yet this year. And I guess we're gonna launch a new program in the fall. Do you know about that?
Launch a new program.
What's that?
So some part of the client satisfaction stuff.
What do you mean?
Well, when I asked, Dana reached out to, what's her name?
Jillian?
Yeah,
Okay, so the Behavioral Health Quality Council is the venue in which we have had our compliance team come to the behavioral health manager supervisor meeting. They report out quarterly on grievances, critical incidents, and just kind of general trends that we're seeing. That we are revamping that to make it more health services focused, not just behavioral health, but we have a process for how that information is collected and reported out on. So I thought if you guys were interested in that information, we could have it still be more specific to behavioral health, since that's your area of focus, and have them come and just review, like, what kind of critical incidences are we having here in behavioral health? What are some of the grievances that clients complain about?
That would be great.
Probably really interesting for you all. Yeah, I'm happy to, I could easily get Jillian to come in and do that. If that would be helpful for this year.
well, what I asked, Dana to ask her, I guess, is maybe come in October, November.
Okay.
Tell us why we're making a change, why we're having a new program.
Yeah. It's not really a program. It's just a shift in how we're reporting out and making it a bit more inclusive of public health.
Revamp or whatever that is. Then in February, when it does launch or whatever, they should come back.
Okay, that's fine. We can have them do that.
It's updated. We should do it on a quarterly or semi-annual basis.
Mhm.
Because one of the things I think are important to us, that find out what some of those barriers are.
Oh, Roger, I did want to share, because this was a grievance a while ago, the intake packet. We're gonna be reducing it by 3 pages. 3 pages.
That's huge.
Almost a third of the packet. So that's coming out. I'm waiting 12 years at least.
I was just going through some stuff the other day and I saw that one that you gave me with all the red marks and green marks.
Oh, yeah.
All the different things.
You know.
Yeah, it's not because of us, it's not our stuff, it's awful experience for clients to have to fill that out. We have been advocating for years to try to get that to change.
Yeah, so we made some headway. I'm
First advocacy.
super excited.
But I think that's some of the grease that got the peer support programs going. It was really, people didn't know how to fill it out. They needed somebody to help.
Yeah.
Worked out that way. And the other note I put down here that we can ask our neighbors, our friends, coworkers, if you had a mental health crisis, what would you do?
Where would you go?
See how many they actually know what they would do.
Good question.
Now we can help. So there's lots of things that we can do to get that information on that number 1 bullet.
Yeah, it's still amazing to me how few people know about the Crisis Stabilization Center. And it's as much effort we put to try to get the word. I mean, there's still so many people that don't know that's a resource available to them. So, any support and ideas to generate on that. I mean, the challenge is like, if we were to do a marketing campaign, which we could consider, I mean, we also have to be able to respond to that if it happens. And if the increased volume happens and our workforce issues are so real right now that I'm not sure we would be able to meet the need if it dramatically increased. And I really do want people to be aware of how, they don't even know about 988 either. Like 988 came out last year and most people still don't know what crisis line number to call.
Know about that.
Yeah, that's a really quick, easy number that will get somebody help 24/7. And most people are still calling either our old county. We keep our old county crisis line going just because people still aren't aware of what. So we have all these lines that people can call and it's very confusing.
988 specific to the county, Deschutes County? Or?
No, so 988, it's so neither is our county crisis line though. Our county crisis line is, we contract with Lines for Life to manage that for us, just because of staffing. We don't have the ability to staff a hotline. 988 is also staffed by Lines for Life. So either way, they're going to get to Lines for Life. They are really experts in doing crisis suicide assessment, especially. And so they're great. But yeah, they're not going to get a local resource when they call a crisis line. However, I will say we have an incredible partnership with Lines for Life. So we talk all the time. We have access to their system. We can put notes in for them to get support. So it works pretty good considering it's not us answering it. And haven't heard any complaints since we moved to Lines for Life. Our old provider, we heard complaints about a lot.
And do they still have somebody here?
They have the youth line here, which is run
That's
by
right, the youth line, Mel.
Mel Butterfield, yeah.
Butterfield, yeah. So connection there. And then bullet number 2 just kind of comes along with that. There's not a lot of special things that we can do about that. Other than how often we report to what we hear back.
Well, the one piece we haven't done much or perhaps at all is get feedback from the commissioners about what they thought about what we told them. Whether they feel shortchanged or they're the wrong end of the fire hose.
Are you talking about like the communication loop, kind of like closing that loop? Like if we learn something and then the commissioners hear it, then what's the?
And one of the nice things about having a commissioner that shows up often enough. So we can do,
What gets
we told
implemented?
you that, and then was it useful? Did you like it? Do you want more? You want less? And what do you think of us?
That's a great point.
Well, we've had county commission here most of the time, so it's a little awkward, some of that. And it's, for all these years, this is the first commissioner that came to as many meetings.
Yeah, and it's an interesting dynamic for us as staff, because we have to ask permission for our board accounting commission, like for even for grants, like we have. So for me to talk to you all about things that I haven't actually gone to the board yet puts us in an interesting position oftentimes. I'm just like, I don't want to get ahead of them, but I also want you all informed. I want you to provide input, but I don't want to get ahead of them. So if I ever seem a little like I'm dancing a fine line, that's part of it.
Thank you for your transparency.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's just the reality. Because they are the local mental health authority, so we have to get their approval for almost everything.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that the landscape's gonna change a lot, in the next couple of years. If we ended up with a 5-person board, it's gonna be a whole different, lot of dynamics gonna change in the county government. And our roles are probably gonna be elevated, so.
Do the commissioners rotate like on an annual or biannual basis about which one is sort of the liaison for us, or is it, how does that work?
They just kind of pick.
And yeah, it's usually, if there's one that's interested, and depending on who the chair is, the chair can decide which of the ones that are interested get to participate. So in this case, we had several that were interested, but Commissioner DeBone, who's the chair, or no, Commissioner Adair is the chair this year. She's the chair? Yeah, she's the chair this year. DeBone was the chair last year. At the time when she got appointed, he allowed her to be the choice. So that's kind of how it works. And historically, they did rotate, but they don't have to. It kind of just depends on the chair.
Well, it goes back quite a while. The commissioner that, anyway.
I'm sure there's some history there.
There's some history there because they used to be assigned to different
Department of liaisons to department, yeah. That's the county I came from was that way, and it was quite a stark contrast coming to a county where it's not that way. I don't know, some good, some not so good, maybe.
Yeah, it can be confusing, like who we're supposed to, but I mean, the good thing here is all of them are very interested in our work. We generally tend to just notify all of them of everything because we're such a large department. We're the largest in the county, so.
Yeah.
And they have all three attended in the last few years. Yeah,
And
to cover for Patty.
anyway, but there's some history there, so they just started rotating and not having people assigned to. Okay. Third one, support Deschutes County Services Strategic Plan. Does anybody know what the strategic plan is?
Yeah, we have a strategic plan. We have a health services strategic plan.
Health services, right?
And we are actually in the middle of revamping it. We have a new project manager, so that's been super helpful to really dive into just refining it. And so that'll be coming out. We can certainly have a space in there that I can have it presented to this group, get input from this group on our behavioral health, at least objectives and goals, if that would be helpful.
That was my note, that somebody from the groups might want to participate in some of that, if we could get a little head start of.
Yeah.
Before it's published that we.
Oh, totally, yeah.
Yeah.
As right now, we're trying to get the overarching kind of health services goals and objectives, and then the plan from that point is that public health then takes it, kind of refines it for what their work is, and we'll be taking it and refining it for what our work is, and the admin division will do the same, so that it's an overarching plan with very specific objectives and details.
Do you have a more current one? Because I just went onto the website and the strategic plan is from 2016 to 2020.
Oh, gosh, I think we should have definitely more updated one than that, because we went through this process, I feel like during COVID, but I don't know, everything's blur. So I can, I'll get you the most recent one, and then just know we're working on it. Yeah.
I wonder,
Action.
you always do better when there's something right in front of you to remind you. I wonder if when we get the minutes and our agenda, actually the agenda, if just a link to the strategic plan would just always be there. And all you gotta do is click on it and at least be guilty because you didn't click on it.
Hey, that's a good idea.
Okay, so did Emily catch that?
So if
Usually
you,
does.
I mean, if you all are aware of the culture work that we're doing for health services,
No.
and so might be really helpful. It's really, we're trying to embed that in everything we're doing. Janice really has led that effort. And it's really our kind of motto is just, you know, starting from within, and it's really a robust right here. This is it right here. So you'll see these signs up
There we
everywhere.
go.
Thank you. And this is just something that's getting rolled out this year. Janice started it, I think, in January, and we're kind of just like still implementing it. But I mean, it's definitely something that we're heavily involved in as an organization and doing a lot of work around. So if it would be ever helpful to have it, Janice come and talk about that work, we could certainly.
That'd be lovely.
Yeah. Good for you all to know that that's part of what we're working on. Yeah. Oh, yes.
How many employees are in, Deschutes County Behavioral Health Department?
Behavioral health is around 280, and the overall health department's around 400.
Oh,
And overall county is around 1,200. So we're a third, you know, of the size of the county. So we're big. Behavioral health budget alone is close to.
Where are we in time? We got
6 million? 60?
60.
Oh,
well, we're way over. We got a lot of time to do nothing.
we don't have to talk.
We don't have to use all the time. But we, you know, we go on to the next one. We have the kind of the same issue. Does anybody know what the regional health improvement plan says in the behavioral health portion?
Is this the same sort of regional health assessment that's every 5 years and got buggered by COVID?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's one on 0
we're
to
good.
24
Yeah.
for substance use, there's one on houselessness, and there's one on ED visits. I know my 3, I'm just.
Yeah.
I thought I remembered access was a big part of.
Yeah, there was an access, yeah.
Access.
Access one that I participated in for about 2.5 years.
Especially in the outlying areas or something, I can't remember.
Yeah, it was supposed to be targeting rural areas and people that have more challenges getting into services. I don't know that I can say that that work group really produced a lot of actionable things that improve access, to be quite honest.
I tell you, one of the biggest areas we continue to see with access, I mean, transportation. We have a huge gap in transportation for folks in encampments, for in rural areas, Pine. Like, it is a challenge, and we have been kind of shouting from the rooftops that we've got to figure this out, because these are our most vulnerable people that are still not able to access kind of what the standard, you know, OHP medical rides or, you know, the bus system like that. There's just a gap.
But we did address, part of one of the strategies in there was expansion of school-based health centers, and we did
We
do
did
that.
do that.
in Sisters in Redmond, and we're targeting the Pine, though that's just a little bit harder to do. So there's some, for access, there is some school-based health center pieces in there, so.
So we, yes, stay through. I mean, it definitely drives a lot of our work for sure.
And that's about to be renewed too, isn't it?
They've been working on.
Steering committees.
Just could check something out for it.
Public input in the last few months. Yeah.
Yeah, in September, October, and November, there'll be a series of meetings. I thought it was kind of cool because they're doing them in the outlying counties, so they're
So
not.
they didn't do any in Bend. It's
Right.
killing me.
Opposite of how it always is typically.
They had one in Bend. It was like, it's like they're all in Madras, Prineville, Redmond,
Yeah.
Lapine Sisters. So I will be participating, at least in the mental health one. I had originally signed up to participate in the transportation one, the addictions one, the mental health one, and the housing one. But then I found out you have to attend 5 meetings per topic, and that none of them are in Bend. I was like, there's absolutely no way this is gonna happen. So I had to pare it down. But, and Heather Heiser will be attending for any of the ones that interest her, and so, we'll be very involved in that work.
You can ask some of us to fill in too.
If they let me, yeah, I would love that. I mean, yeah, I would highly, I wanted to, there's so many good topics, but I just can't, it's so much. I mean, I would do nothing but that for the next 3 months. So if there's interest from this board, there is a survey that's been sent out to sign up for the different topics. I highly recommend people do that.
It gets mailed out when they have it, but it may be good once we see more lived experience from the community that shares probably similar transportation problems. If we are less throwing a dot at the map and seeing where it lands and having more of a targeted
Yeah.
thing, we can start to have more of those deliverables and more people talking about X issues and keep it all integrated.
Yeah.
Into that, moving into next year. It's like,
That'd be good.
transportation probably would be an easy starting point, I would guess.
Pretty specific, I mean, we know what the issue is.
Yeah, and they're yelling about the transportation companies and
Yeah.
these things that we can talked about here before, but.
Yeah. It would, it's an area that I think is solvable if we got enough people and focused on it and.
That's why we're expanding the Redmond, because of the issues we have.
Yeah.
That are coming from Redmond and Metro Bend. So,
Yep, expansion to Redmond's great.
Roger, this is a little bit off topic, but I was just on the, we have a web page. And the functions that are on here do not align with the rat card. They're different.
I
And
think
they,
those are the ones that are a little bit different, maybe, that,
Huh?
so they may be a little bit different
The bylaws or
from
something.
the bylaws.
Well, no, it just says behavioral health advisory board functions, and there's a list of 7 of them and then 2 additional ones. And so I just, we probably want to align them to what our rat
Right.
card says. And then the meeting minutes are pretty out of date. The most recent one was from October last year. So we just might want to tweak that as we're kind of getting out there a little bit more in the community and stuff. It might be worthwhile updating them.
Yeah, I
Dana
mentioned,
responsible for, is that a Dana task? I don't know who from I'm assuming she's our site updater, but I don't know.
I mentioned that to Dana a while back, because I noticed that the minutes that relates to, but the minutes are on board, the BOCC's.
Oh. So I wonder if they're.
Videos and all that, so that link needs to be changed to go there.
Yeah, I think the problem is we're putting them in a different location, and so then it just looks like we're behind and we're not updating things. So we either need to put them in both places or eliminate it altogether.
And this is not the first agency to be behind. I mean,
Oh, sure, yeah.
It's not a criticism.
Oh, totally.
While we're talking about it, I thought,
Well, what would the board prefer? Would you prefer that everything be on the BHAB website versus because I think, yeah.
I think you could just put the link and say for meeting minutes, click there and it could go to the BOCC and you can.
Okay, but it sounds like then there's an action item to at least align the rat card.
Yeah.
with
I
that.
wrote that down.
awesome. Yeah. Because there's all it goes, the meeting minutes go back to June 18th, 2021. Nobody can be looking at that. So having a link, and it's a big list here that takes up a lot of visual space on the screen. So I think that link idea is a really good idea.
Great, that's easy enough to do.
The
Yeah.
website's a little antiquated when it comes to that, so the one that the BOCC's on is better, probably.
Just need the links to work. 'Cause
But it's the Board of County Commissioners that it would be the link to that web page to get. So then Dana isn't responsible for putting it on here, makes it easier.
Yeah,
that'd be good.
Yeah.
just have one place to upload.
Yeah, and they can get access to the videos too, right?
Yeah, and then you
Right.
can see this all live.
Yeah.
I go back and listen to them occasionally. The last one on there is work with regional partners and the community to apply our advocacy towards sustainable programs. That's a mouthful. Who are these regional partners?
There's a ton of regional partners. I think that what that says to me is, and I know Jessica was, I think one of the people spearheading this was the board needs to maybe be a little bit more of an involved board. Maybe some committee work or out in the community a little bit more. Maybe spreading our word out there and supporting them, but also providing them with the information about who we are and what we do. I'm not sure how many of us are out there doing that. That's the way I read that. Work with our regional partners to apply the, advocacy and getting the word out too. I don't know.
And I think you're right. That's what kind of the outreach committee and stuff, so we can be out there and find out who these regional partners are and how we can work with them. It was just kind of an interesting way it's written.
Well, it would seem like, there's so many things going on in Deschutes County that are behavioral health related. Holly could probably provide an enormous list of activities. And if we all committed to going to and participating in one of them, maybe it's the health fair that's at the River House. And you know, as a board member, you're gonna be required to do one event for your calendar year, so you sign up and say, Holly, that's what I'll do, I'll spend my day that afternoon sitting at the table.
Yeah.
And then not only are we spreading the word about our board, but we're also learning about what's going on out there from the other vendors. So, maybe we could do a better job of participating.
I can, we can certainly think of a strategy. We get these emails of notification, we don't necessarily have a place where we bring it all together and have the list, but I could be more strategic about sending them to Dana. She could be creating kind of a list and tracking it all and bringing it to this board meeting to say, these are the things we know that are available this month.
Need some help with this.
Oh, yeah. And we do have staff that participate in these, and I know you all have participated in some of our tables already before, when there's, especially during the summer months, there's a lot of these types of events that happen, so.
That would be great. I
Well,
mean, and then
that'd align with the youth person too, because one of the criteria or one of the expectations that they're gonna be participating in that, so we need like a place to make it easy for them to find.
Yeah, we can help with that. I'll just, and I think this group of managers, as we all get notified of different things, we can just have a process where we let Dana know about those and she.
tell Dana we need some help
Yeah.
with this, and people can sign up for the things that are most interesting to them.
Well, it doesn't have to just come from you. I mean, all of us here have some connection, and so if
Yes.
I'm aware of something in the school districts that you guys ought to know, and shoot it to Dana and say, put it on the calendar and.
Like an events calendar, we could even think about, if we wanted it to be on the page, on the VHAB website, with an events calendar.
Jessica brought up the fact that she wanted to have an events or a calendar committee person, somebody who was in charge of putting a calendar together and events. And that's maybe something that we talk about next month or in November to see if there's any one person or two people who want to do it. I don't think it takes more than one person. I just think it's somebody who's kind of keeping that list updated.
Yeah.
It's not, it's something I would even consider doing, but maybe we just kind of table that till next month and talk about it a little bit more and.
Yeah.
I just wrote events calendar at the bottom of this list, okay?
And when we have folks come in and share something similar to when the school district came in and they kind of asked for help with us to kind of close the loop, they shouldn't just come with PowerPoint. They should also come and we should have the format or the expectation that they ask us to help them in some way. What is this? What is your big event? Give us your elevator pitch and then how we can get back to you since you've given us this info or your time,
That's a great idea.
right? And then make it reciprocal back and forth so that we add it to the calendar or whatever may be there, so that it doesn't just show up in broad stroke PowerPoints and see if we can come back that we've had, right? Although some of them are very good.
I almost wonder if it's down the line, but maybe we should do some, have some of us be liaisons for some of our community, like identify the community partners. IDD, you're here, so that's great, but I'm the only one from the school district, so I could do that, and then there's, different agencies that, so it would be my responsibility on a monthly basis to check in with the superintendents and special ed directors, say, hey, is there anything you have to know about, any updates, any events, anything like that, so it's a little bit more proactive, because what I don't want is to add to your workload. So, hey, Holly, can you and your staff create the calendar? I don't think that's what, I don't want that for you. I want us to be more active in supporting what you do, not dumping on you, here's one more task.
Thank you. I appreciate it. That's fine. And we're happy to help with the information gathering and whatever that might look like, just administrative
But it's
support.
not one more thing you need to put on your to-do list. The stuff we can do, that's why I joined this board, is to support this. And I'm betting most everybody's feeling the same way. So maybe you could put that on the agenda calendar committee, and also kind of the idea of, does this liaison kind of thing make sense? I don't know if it does, but might as well brainstorm it.
Can we also just have a calendar of events on the agenda? So it's the last thing that's just, at the bottom, because the agenda was literally like, a quarter of the page. So there's the calendar of events, and maybe it's Dana or whomever. If you want to hit the calendar of events, you send something to Dana that says,
Right.
we need, if anybody wants to volunteer for this, here's the information. Here's what we're looking for. And then all she has to do is just add the links. And then if somebody's, passionate about it, they'll bring it up because it's got a 2-minute window to talk about these things that are coming up in the next month. An idea.
Good. Speaking of calendar events, I noticed a couple things on social media about a peer conference that's coming. It says save the date, but there's
Is
never
it
any,
Peer Apocalypse or is it
something like that. Well, Melissa,
Fusion.
Peer Fusion? Is it in Bend?
Last year it was at Pronghorn.
Pronghorn, whoa. Oh, I remember that one. They got scholarships and stuff to go. That was awesome.
but it doesn't say where it is or when. It says save the date, but it doesn't tell you the date.
Oh, interesting. We could probably find that out, because I'm sure we have staff going.
Then there's a Gobi one too, this
Go be one too.
Gobi conference or something that's coming up.
Gobi, what's that?
Greater Oregon Behavioral Health Initiative, I think is what it stands for. They're actually the CCO for the Eastern Oregon region. But they also, it's kind of a strange organization, but they also provide a lot of trainings and technical assistance and various other things.
The CCO for the rest of the eastern side.
Yeah.
Side of the state.
I'm gonna volunteer to create a list of acronyms.
That's a great idea.
I'm not in the industry, I'm not, you know,
Oh, we're
I have an
terrible.
interest, no, but in education, it's the same way, especially special education. I have a 2 or 3 page list of acronyms that was given to me when I started working for High Desert ESD, and it's the same thing, and so I'd like that for my own.
It's bottomless though.
It's bottomless, but you know, and there's like, I was spending a lot of time thinking, what is
SOC.
STR.
SRTF.
SRT.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, oh, I got it, it's secure. And I was thinking that through, and I'm like, I think I've got it, though. I didn't know. Anyway, it just would be helpful.
Don't ever hesitate to be like, Holly, I don't know what that is.
A lot of it I don't know, so.
Then there's RTFs and RTHs and.
Yeah.
What is the Peer Fusion is at Sun River Resort this year from September 3rd to September 6th, and it's a scholarship application only for peers to
Oh.
go. I think maybe last year they had a lot of people there.
Oh, I bet.
Cool.
Anything else? I think we pretty much did open forum there.
Roger. I missed this earlier because I didn't have it in front of me. I sent you something asking to, if I can put this in the minutes. There is a survey happening, being conducted by the National Association for Duly Diagnosed. And duly diagnosed in this case means people with intellectual developmental disabilities with co-occurring mental health disorder. They're conducting research across Oregon to find out how well Oregon is serving people with IDD who have a co-occurring mental health. So this will come out in the minutes if you agree. People can go online and take a quick survey. You can also sign up. This is only going through the end of August. It's very quick. They're coming into Oregon in and out in just a couple of months. So you can also sign up for a virtual interview with them to give information.
Should we just forward this to the board too?
Yeah, that'd be great. It's gone out pretty far and wide, but more participation, the better.
Oh, I've got 100 of them. Yeah.
Hey, we have a motion to adjourn.
To adjourn.
All those in favor?
I
We don't have any